Nation, are we here? The best show for Chicago sports. Oh my God! Yeah. What's good? What's up? What's happening? What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in for another episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Live. We are back and live in action. On the show today, gotta talk about the rumor that's going around that based on how the Bears drafted, it means they don't believe in Justin Fields, huh? And we also got to talk about, will this be a competitive season for the Bears, and will the Bears be competitive by the time it's time to pay Justin? Gonna be talking about Bears all morning here. It is Tuesday, May 3rd, and football season is on the way. Let's go! Come on! Who you with? Get some who? Hey. All right. Kill the music. What is good, y'all? Y'all already know, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us as we do every Monday through Friday from 11 to 1. We got to break down these teams around our city. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love, man. If you guys could just do me a favor and
push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
hit that like button, subscribe to the page, because we do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. We also get into national sports in the second hour of the show. So we're covering everything that you could want right here on the Windy City Breeze. Also, make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button, because we're going to be qualifying 2 more people tomorrow live on the show in the second hour for the Ayo Dosunmu jersey giveaway. We're almost at 13K. We're right there. We got to qualify our last 2 people. Then we're going to put the spin wheel on the screen. We're going to pick a name. You're going to be the winner. Shout out to you, whoever you may be. Let's get into this, man. Because there seems to be a bit of a belief around Bears Nation. By the way, hold on. Let's shout out the chat real quick. Who we got in here? Dan Richardson in here early. Joel in here early. Tom in here early. What's good? Vern in here early. What's good, my guy? How you feeling? The question on the table, which I'm not going to lie to you, bro. It's a stupid question. Robert Schwartz in the chat was good. It's a stupid question. Do the Chicago Bears believe in Justin Fields? The reason I'm talking about it is because it's the talk around the city. It's the talk, honestly, around the country with Justin Fields based on how the Chicago Bears drafted. Does this draft signal a lack of belief in Justin Fields? And here's the thing about it, right? Here's where it starts for me. Why are they doing things? Why are they sitting in a room with Justin Fields if they don't believe in Justin Fields? Why are they sitting down watching tape of his guys from Ohio State and what they did together at Ohio State if they don't believe that they're building this team for Justin's successes? I understand that the Bears did not go get the wide receiver we thought that they were going to go get for Justin Fields. I get that. We wanted that big body outside pressure guy that was going to be able to attack. But that's not the only thing that goes into Justin Fields being successful with the Chicago Bears. That's not the only thing that goes into Justin Fields being successful with the Chicago Bears. Don't forget what we asked for. People saw what the Bengals did last season, and now all of a sudden we expect that to be the norm. That is not the norm. How do you have successful quarterbacks? What was the biggest issue with the reason why Mitch Trubisky was not successful here besides just Matt Nagy? The cardinal sin of drafting Trubisky already happened. Then what'd you do? You gave him nobody that could stand in front of him and keep him off his back. I'm not saying that he was going to be the end-all, be-all, but belief in a player does not just mean going out and getting a great wide receiver. Belief in a player means I want to keep you alive. Here's the thing. You're going into this season feeling like you're going to have some struggles because of how many holes there are on this team. You're going into this season feeling like you're going to struggle a little bit because of how many holes are on this team currently, right? You don't feel great going into this season. You don't feel like the Bears are going to be a 12-win team. But what you don't want is what we saw last season, where you're a 6-win team and Justin Fields is at risk of getting injured every play because there's some dude about to land on his forehead. A belief in Justin Fields is about keeping Justin Fields alive, not just for this season, but for the duration of it, for the long run. And by the way, he's in the room. He probably had some input on Jones Jr., right? He probably had some input on bringing in Jones Jr. That's probably somebody he wanted. By the way, also a player that you brought in who can quickly get the ball and make something happen in a little bit of time. To me, if you look at the picks on defense, when was Mitch at his best? When do mediocre quarterbacks have the easiest time? Not to say Justin Fields is going to be a mediocre quarterback, but when do mediocre quarterbacks have the easiest time? Now translate that to what Justin Fields should be this season. When your defenses put you in a position where your successes are simple. We think just by getting Justin Fields a couple more weapons that all of a sudden he's going to take off. All of a sudden he's going to be this great quarterback because he's got a weapon to get it through. If he's got to go 100 yards to get to the end zone, and he's got this great weapon, but not guys that can stand in front of him and keep him alive long enough for him to get it to that great weapon, what does it matter? Even the selections on defense for me are a belief in Justin Fields. Why? Because if you're going to select players that improve the team, it makes Justin's life easier on both ends. If you're going to select players that are going to put the ball in Justin Fields' hands in shorter fields, By the way, Jones Jr. as well, kick returner, punt returner, somebody who absolutely can put short fields on the field. These are all things to help Justin Fields. Don't get it twisted. Don't think, oh, because they didn't take a big body wide receiver. Here's the question for you, right? Here's the question for you. What's harder to find? What's harder to find? Starting level cornerback? Starting level safety? Starting level wide receiver? Starting level offensive lineman? What's the hardest out of those to find? All right, let me switch it. What's the easiest out of those to find? When's the last draft that we didn't see a weapon come off the board at wide receiver? You can have the greatest wide receivers in the world. It doesn't matter if your quarterback's laying on his back. We see wide receivers come off of the board every year. We see top tier talent come off of the board every year. This is not a 1 year thing. It's just not. I get we want to be good in 2022. We're sick of watching the Chicago Bears be bad. I get it. I'm here with you. It's 36 inches of bear head on my wall back there. I'm right here with you. Bear down. But let's not pretend like this team was one play away, was one weapon away from unlocking Justin Fields. If you thought that, you were lying to yourself. The Bengals are an anomaly. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how many times I can say it. I don't know how else to tell people this. That's not normal. When your quarterback is getting hit that much, you should not be making the Super Bowl. He got sacked 9 times. 9 times in a playoff game. He's that level of player. Hopefully Justin Fields is. Hopefully Justin Fields gets to that next level. Baki in the chat, Hayes in the building was good. Ray in the building was good. Y'all got me breaking the chair again, man. Sick of this. That is the anomaly. When you're looking at this Bears team, it's a long way away. But how do you make Justin's life easier? And there's a lot of questions around it, right? Hey, Baki, I got to buy a new one, bro. I got to buy a new one. I ain't going to lie to you, though. The chair game is expensive out here, brother. I didn't know. I didn't know the chair game was expensive. Because, see, for me, right, I end up beating on the chairs and stuff like that. So it's not just the piston anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the piston. It's the arm is messed up. The back is a little loose. It is what it is. But when you look at this Bears team right now, we said coming into this thing, don't forget, right? Because all of a sudden the draft is here, because the season is getting closer, what do we do a lot of times as Bears fans? We lie to ourselves. We're not that far away. We're not out of this. We can come right back. We lie to ourselves. I look at the schedule and I fully believe the Bears should win 10 games. Do I think they will? No, but I believe they should. But let's not get the lies that we tell ourselves twisted with the facts that are on the field. We knew coming into this draft, we knew coming into this season that the Chicago Bears were not a piece away. You want to know why I'm okay with the Bills going running back in the draft? Because they got everything else. When you got everything else, you go get a little piece. It is what it is. We find that. We find that. We're not there. We came into this season with 3, maybe 4 blue chip players. And y'all want to include David Montgomery in the blue chip? He is not. Ryan Poles told you that. Your blue chip players coming into this season: Justin Fields, Roquan Smith, Jalen Johnson, Robert Quinn. That's it. You don't even know if Eddie Jackson's a blue chip player on this. You hope that by putting Brisker next to him, he will be, but you don't know if Eddie Jackson is a blue chip player on this team. So it kills me, and I know I'm coming with a little bit of fire this morning, dog, but it kills me when we're 2 years into a quarterback, going into year 3, and we're talking about, hey, do the Bears believe in Justin Fields? Why the heck would Ryan Poles be here if he didn't believe in Justin Fields? You don't come here if you don't believe that Justin Fields can make a play. You don't come here if you don't believe that Justin Fields is the future of this team. Why? Why did Matt Nagy come here? Because at one point, he believed it was Mitch Trubisky. You come here because you believe in the pieces that are here. And you realize you got a long way to go, but at a minimum, I believe in that guy. You don't listen, Aaron Rodgers is in what, year 12, 13? What year is he in? 15? I don't know. And he's just now getting in the room with the GM talking about picks. Justin Fields was in there year 2. Ryan Poles understands the assignment. Ryan Poles understands what it's going to take to get this thing done. And unfortunately, Bears fans, it's not just going to get Christian Watson. Unfortunately, Bears fans, it's not just going to get George Pickens. Unfortunately, Bears fans, it's not just going to get Chris Olave. It's not moving up in the draft. How's moving up in the draft work for us? It's not just putting a weapon on the field for Justin Fields to have to throw the ball to. There's a long way to go here. There's a long way to go with this thing. And that's okay. But don't lie to yourself and get in the belief that we're just flipping this thing over in one season. That's what we did when John Fox was here. Remember, Foxy came in, everybody was like, oh my goodness, the Bears they say that they can turn this thing around quickly and they're going to be fine and we're going to be good. And blah. It was a lie. It was a lie. Now, here's the thing. You do have to get good at a certain point within this time frame, right? It's not to say that I don't think that the Chicago Bears have some work to do quickly on this time frame. Because this can't be the 5-year process to getting good. Why? This can't be the 5-year process to getting good. Why? Because at some point you got to pay Justin Fields or you got to know what the heck he is. At some point, you've got to look yourself in the mirror and figure out, hey, is Justin Fields that guy? Is he going to be that next level player? Is he going to be our quarterback of the future? I mean, honestly, chat, talk to me. Doing this solo here for a little while. It's all good. Do you believe the Chicago Bears will be competitive before it's time to pay Justin Fields? Do you believe that the Bears will be competitive before it's time to pay Justin Fields? And that's a serious question. Because when you look at it, right, if you're not, how do you know if he's the answer? How do you pay him if you don't believe that he's the answer? How do you with confidence give him that top quarterback contract if you don't believe he's the answer? And what the problem is, right? Then you put yourself in a situation where now you're paying somebody probably because there's not a better option. You put yourself in a situation where now you're paying somebody because there isn't a better option at quarterback. But I do believe that the Bears, how the Bears are going about it, will have them competitive at a minimum. I'm not saying Super Bowl champion, right? At this point, we're not talking Super Bowl champion. We're talking competitive. Remember where we are. We are third in the division. We're not talking Super Bowl champion. We've never been talking Super Bowl champion with this team, minus one season. Do you believe that the Chicago Bears can be competitive before it's time to pay Justin Fields? And I believe so. You know why? Because they're not just prioritizing doing everything that's going to make Justin great. They're prioritizing things that are going to make these Chicago Bears great. They're prioritizing things that are going to make not only just the offense better, but also the defense better. And I get there's a lot of people out here that are looking at this thing, right? And they're saying, hey, you know, we got you don't have weapons. You're drafting offensive line late in the game. Is this going to be a good team anytime soon? When you draft an offensive line in the 6th and 7th round, or fifth, 6th, and 7th, I should say. Is this team going to be good anytime soon? But we've seen all pros go that late. Don't get draft position mixed up with how the player's career is going to go. Don't get draft position mixed up with how the player's career is going to go. If I'm not mistaken, I believe we had 3 all pros come out of the draft last year, 5th, 6th, and 7th round. And guess what? Where we've taken the swing and miss approach on quarterback and on wide receiver, for once we're taking the swing and miss approach on linemen. Guess what happens if Ryan Poles misses on a 7th round lineman? Oh, he was a 7th rounder. We didn't expect that to hit anyway. Guess what happens if Ryan Poles hits on a 7th round lineman? Now you're talking about your team in a whole different light as you head into a draft where you have a full slate of picks. If Dominique Robinson in the 5th round is a starting tackle for you, guess what? You feel good going into the next season where you've got a full slate of picks. If you figure out your position at the offensive line while heading into the next draft, guess what? I don't have to draft in 2023? Offensive line. If the Bears come away from this draft with an answer at their tackle position, or even just going through the season, and all of a sudden you've got an answer. My bad, I said Dominique Robinson, didn't I? Braxton Jones, my bad. Braxton Jones is who I meant. You've got an answer in Braxton Jones, then guess what? Now you're going into the next offseason feeling good about this Bears team because Justin Fields is going to have time to stand up and deliver the football, no matter who the weapons are. This is the beginning. These are the growing pains. Unfortunately, Ryan Pace left your team in such a hole that you have no choice but to go through them. We left this season last year with 4 players that look like they can play the game of football. So I believe this is the beginning. I believe the Chicago Bears will be competitive before it's time to pay Justin Fields. Why? Because we're seeing a priority towards our quarterback, but we're also seeing a priority towards our team. We're not so focused for the first time, and I don't know how long, on building one thing. I mean, honestly, with the Bears, how often has it been, hey, are you going to be able to we got to build up the defensive line. We got to build up the defensive backs. We got to build up our safeties. We got to build up, you know what I'm saying? Hey, you drafted a quarter in Ryan Pace's time here. He built up this defense. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't protect the dude that he wanted to move up to 2 to get. He didn't give the dude that he moved up to 2 to get an option or time. He got him weapons. Allen Robinson was a heck of a weapon. Darnell Mooney, good piece. Anthony Miller in his time when he was here, that first season and a half, could play football, right? He got him weapons. Didn't keep him off his back. Had him looking like he was on a corner on 35th. Maybe 79th. Couldn't keep him off his back. Weapons only go so far. And if you're going to be good, if this Bears team is going to be competitive, you have to talk about more than just, hey, did he get him a weapon to throw the ball to? You have to talk about, hey, how's Justin going to get short field? You have to talk about, hey, how are we going to put Justin in a position where instantly he has a at least shot to get the ball to somebody that can make a play? And even if the offensive line isn't what we hope it's going to be, because guess what? I don't know if Tevin Jenkins can play. I hope so. I think he can actually play football, but I don't know if Tevin Jenkins can stay healthy enough to play. I don't know if Larry Borum can play football consistently. I hope Lucas Patrick is a good offensive lineman. But if we're being honest about it, we don't know what this offensive line is going to be. So what's the weapon I go get for Justin? A weapon that I can throw to real quick and make in space. I'm not saying I'd have picked him there. I'd have loved to move back, but I don't know if he had a dance partner at that spot. At a minimum, where this Bears team is currently at, we're at a spot right now where, guess what? We don't have the luxury to wait for our receiver to go get open. We don't have the luxury to wait for our receiver to use his big body to get in space. Because we don't know if our offensive line can play yet. That's a problem. So what does he do? He swings hard. Let's hope he hits one. But at least I know he's doing things. Ryan Poles is at a minimum doing things to try and make this team competitive this year and moving forward. It's definitely going to be it's going to be a grind, Bears fans. I feel like a lot of people came into this season or came into this draft feeling like, nah, we got it. We're fixing everything right here. This is how you fix the Chicago Bears right here. It sounds good. That sounds great. Is it realistic? Is it realistic to think that the Chicago Bears will be competitive this season? I hope so. But competitive and winning are two different things. Is it realistic to think that this Bears team is going to be a winning franchise this season? Come on now. A lot of pieces. A lot of pieces to go. Hey, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with me early this morning, man. Well, it ain't that early. It's 11 o'clock. You should be up by now. Unless you're working a night shift like your boy be doing, man. By the way, make sure you guys tune in over on Locked On Bulls as well. We got new content over there as well. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hey, man, if you're sitting in here and watching the show right now, man, we got 6 people in here, man. Just go ahead and
Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
hit that like button, subscribe to the page because we do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. We're going to have a ton of content dropping your way. Also, we're going to have videos dropping every day, Monday through Friday at least, at 5 p.m. So get in tune with that as well. Yesterday's video went kind of crazy. The breakdown on Jones Jr. up there, man. Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for showing love on that. Think that mug did like 3K in that mug. We moving in the right direction. By the way, y'all got the show going up on a Tuesday. Shout out to y'all, man. Let's keep it going, though. Because now you got to ask the interesting question coming into 2022, right? Based on the signings we've seen, based on what we've seen the Bears do, I'd say in the draft, right? A lot of long plays at the end of that draft. A lot of this is going to take a couple of years to develop plays at the end of that draft. I'd be surprised, right? Other than maybe Braxton Jones, if any of those linemen came in and instantly were just like, nah, bro, there's a reason I fell in the draft. It's because they didn't like me. I'm still gonna dominate NFL competition out of nowhere. But you do got to ask the question. As you're talking about the Bears in 2022, are we talking about a season where the Bears have a full slate of picks where the Chicago Bears could be tanking? As the pettiest man in the world. Ooh, that camera looking crispy today, my boy. I see you coming through clean out here, my boy. Pettiest man in the world enters the building, Mr. P Kid. In the chat, what's good with you, kid?
What's happening? How's the mic sound?
Sound good. Sound good.
A little under the weather today, but I'll tell you what, I don't think we're tanking. I wanted to make sure I came in on the right topic. You were on a roll on the last one. I was like, I gotta let him have that one. I saw you cooking. I was like, gotta let him have that one. What's good?
It just kills me when moms are just like, oh man, like we can't believe in Justin Fields. It's like, why would he come here if he thought the quarterback sucked? He was on a team when the quarterback didn't suck.
I don't believe that we're tanking. I think Pose is making the most of his situation. I was very critical of his second round picks because I felt like he should have did, went offensive on one of them, O-line or receiver. I still maintain that stance. I'm not switching up on that. I like what Velas shows on the highlights, but as a lot of professionals would say, if you're only watching the highlights, you're not watching the real game. You're really not watching the football. But that's all we have to really go off of, So at this point, I think we really just have a bunch of placeholders. I'm not going to say placeholders. We have a bunch of young talent that we can absolutely build with.
I think you had the first word right. I think not to say like the rookies they brought in, but I think you had the first word right. Like you saw what Poles did this offseason.
Yeah.
A lot of short contracts, a lot of contracts that probably will not be back in 2023. And I think that's why you could be talking about the Bears. Not to say tanking's tough, right? Because tanking means like, hey, we're going to win 2 games.
We're not the Jaguars out here.
This team's too talented to win 2 games, even if they just failed.
Dog, we won more than 2 games last season, and we didn't look good.
That's the thing, right? Like we stumbled into 6 wins.
Yeah. Our defense alone has always gotten us at least 4 wins. That's always been our hallmark. We've always gotten that, right? Now, I'm not saying that that's where we should, be hanging our hat. I'm not saying that that's what we should be doing moving forward. But at least we know that we've always had a decent defense. And the moves that Poles made, we still have a really good defense. While I don't like the picks, I can't say the people he got aren't good.
Yeah.
He got some studs in that second round for the defense. I can't hate on that. I just felt like we needed to do more on the offensive end. But our defense is going to be good. And this isn't like the I hate comparing sports like this, but this isn't like the NBA where a lot of these players will come in, they're going to start, if you're drafted in the second round,
they don't have no choice.
yeah, second round players are immediate impact players. First and second round, well, really first through 1 through 3 are immediate impact players. A lot of those times, those players are plugged in that they're played almost within a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
So, hey, this ain't the NBA. Like a second round player has to work his way up. Second round of NFL, you on the field. Depending on your team, you on the field. And in this case,
you
a lot
better
of the things that we got, they're gonna be on the field.
Yeah.
So I think this is really where we get to see what I like what Brianna just said, the process of it all. And I'm here for the process. I just want to make sure that Chicago's here for the process. Because I've said it once before, we are a hard team. We are a hard city to play for because we have no patience. We really don't have patience. The Jordan era has clouded us so much that we think we got to win now, and we ain't won nothing in ever. Like, come on, dog.
You got to think about how dominant the 90s were for us, dog, as sports fans in general. Like Sosa and the Cubs, kind of. You had, well, that was in the 90s, really. But the White Sox, the Bulls, the Bears, the Blackhawks made a Stanley Cup. Like everybody was good. So like I see why it's clouded a lot of Chicago, but that's a long time ago, yo.
Bears, dog, we made the Super Bowl with like half of the ball, like WTF. Like we didn't know what was going on one half of the ball. Like what's your favorite play for Rex Grossman?
Oh, you talking
5-step drop?
Oh,
Don't
man.
even look.
The 5-step drop, no look, turn around, throw that mug up, intercepted.
Man, throw that thing straight up in the air. Hey, I have to go find that play. I thought you was exaggerating.
You thought I was joking, didn't you?
That man looked back,
bro.
Said, "Huh." I was like, God dang.
You thought I was joking. Nah, bro. 5-step drop, no turnaround look. Just launched it. It's like
he needed to do a Kyle Kuzma no look pass. He needed to look.
Hey. He tried to do the Pat Mahomes before it was cool. But no, I just feel like right with the Bears coming into this season, right? I can't say they're now tanking to me is like intentional. But what I can say is that Ryan Pace probably realized that this team isn't very good. He probably realized that this football team, where it's currently at, isn't going to be a very good football team going into next season. And he's making picks based on that. He's making plays based on that. These are a lot of the guys he believes in are long-term moves, which are unfortunately the young guys on the team. You're probably coming into this thing with 40 of your 53-man roster being 1 to 2 year players. I mean, Roquan's going to be the vet on this team. He's been in the NFL 4 years. Like he's your vet on this team. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Robert Quinn. But other than that, right? Like, you're talking about a lot of these guys being, hey, we got to figure this out now. We have to figure this out for next season, because next season we've got a full slate of picks. We've got a ton of stupid money, and we need to know what pieces we're keeping around and what pieces aren't going to be around next season. Byron Pringle, everybody's upset about the signing of Byron Pringle. He's here on a donut deal. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He's here on a donut deal.
Couldn't resist, huh?
Couldn't resist.
I looked at his stats last night. I want to make sure I saw this right. Nope, I didn't see that right. Never mind. Thought I was going to go somewhere. Thought I was going to give him credit. Well, 500 yards as a
he's the
fourth
fifth option on that team.
Fifth option?
It's not bad. The thing is, the thing about Pringle is he's one of those guys where you're giving him a flyer this season to see, hey, you looked good when you were this option. What can you look like when you're moved up in the depth chart, when you're number 2?
Hey, I got to tell you this. He only had 42 receptions last season, 568 yards.
How many? He only got passed to like 62 times, though, wasn't it?
So when you compare all of that, his average, yards per catch is freaking high.
Yep.
And for him to be the 4th, 5th option and still have 5 touchdowns, I think we may have to put some more respect on his name. Than I personally may have to put some more respect on his name.
I'm not upset by Pringle. I think Pringle's a good name to have here. Here's the thing: you're trying to figure it out as you go. You know what I'm saying? This isn't. Oh, we know what pieces we got in this mug. This is. We hope the pieces that we have in the building are good right now. We hope the pieces we have in the building can play right now. But guess what? They might not. Tevin Jenkins might not be good. That's a real possibility there, Bears fan. You know what I'm saying? So I could see why the tank and tank is really just the word to use for lack of a better term, right? Because like there isn't a way to me that I see that the Bears find a ton of talent outside of this offensive line is good. And I think that that's the difference in Justin Fields' development with this offensive line being good. And here's the thing, that's going to dictate whether they are tanking or not, right? Listen, I'm sure the Bengals probably went into last season getting like halfway through and were like, man, we can't beat the Bears. We in trouble. People
I don't
forget we beat them.
Yeah.
And we looked great against them.
Echo on me?
I don't hear one.
Chat, are we good on the echo? Let me know. I don't think we're tanking for the simple fact that we still want to attract talent here. And for some odd reason, I don't get that Pose as the type of person that will go through tanking. Like realistically, I know that this is the talk, and I know that that's what we do, and this is part of what we, part of the job. But I say this: there is no benefit for us to tank right now. There's no benefit for it.
I mean,
realistically,
top draft pick. I mean, the NFL is so different. Where like,
I got 150 M's next year. I don't need the tank. I'm gonna spend money anyway.
You got 150 M's. You can go pay somebody serious and get a top draft pick. The thing is, the 150 M's is gonna be there no matter what. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like but
Chicago can't afford to tank. We can't afford to tank. Our fan base will kill. Like, listen, I hear everything, and I understand that there's a process, but the difference between Philly and the difference between Chicago is Philly has been through. I mean, Philly's happy if you make the playoffs. Philly's happy if you they got one championship off against Brady. I don't think they have any NBA championships. I mean, they're a city that's like, hey,
Dr. J got a ring. I tried not to laugh on it, dog.
All right. Dr.
Oh,
J, what was that, 79? I wasn't even a thought.
it might be. It might be that longer because
I wasn't even a thought.
it wasn't in the 80s.
The I mean, outside of AI, the last time they were relevant before then was Charles Barkley.
Dr. J.
You know what I'm saying? Like that market right there, big market, it ain't Chicago.
No.
They don't have the same expectations. They don't have anything like that. We can't afford to tank. We really can't. And so with that being the case, I don't think we're tanking. I think this is a development year, but I don't think it's a
82.
tanking year.
82, that's right. It was 2 years before Barkley got there. It's interesting, right? Because to me, it depends on shut up. It depends on what
I
the
got you, sir.
Bears are able to do, right? Because the players can dictate it. A tank usually isn't decided day one of the season. Unless you're that god awful bad. Like the Jaguars last season weren't expecting to tank. Then they got 3 games in and they were like, Trevor gonna need some help.
You know what? The funny thing is, Trevor could still. It's all about situation. Trevor could tank.
They got him some help this season, though.
Yeah, they got
him. You can't tank coming into this year, right? Because you spent a lot of money. You got him some help.
Yeah.
You got him an offensive line. You got him weapons. You got him a lot. You can't tank this season. Last season was a tank. Last season when they got into year 3, and then you got what's his name out here at the club with Shorty. He out here wilding. The head coach is out here wild. Like there was some reasons to tank last season. But here's the thing, right? The team dictates it. Philly didn't believe in Jalen Hurts coming into next season until they had a top 4 offensive line to finish the season. Washington didn't believe they were going to be going far last season until they had a top 6 offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive line is what's going to make the difference for Justin Fields in this situation, especially with all the weapons. You think Bill thought year 1 of Mac Jones he was going to the playoffs to play against the Bills? But he knew, hey, look, I don't know if this kid can play, but I'm going to put some big bodies in front of him and make sure that he stay upright so that he can deliver the ball.
People sleep on Mac Jones. Mac Jones next up, dog.
Mac Jones in a great system, and he's got a coach that understands, hey, if I put these fat dudes around him, they'll keep him off his back. And even if he's mediocre, he can still throw the football.
You know what? This is all about Justin at this point, but there are some things that Mac does that you really just can't teach at that level yet. Like you can't teach a rookie some of the things that he walked in knowing, and he knew it, and he commanded the offense and stuff like that. If you hear how the players talk about him, a lot of them say, hey, it's like seeing time all over again.
And look, I love it. I love it. But it's his life was made easier by not being on his back.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I think I
don't begrudge him for that, by the way.
No. It's how you're supposed to build a football team. That's what I'm trying to explain to people today. You don't want to see Justin Fields come out here with a poor offensive line. I don't care if he's good or not. You traded up to get him. The biggest sin of Ryan Pace, whether you believe he's the answer or not, is that he didn't put nobody in front of Mitch to keep him upright. Mitch ran for his life for 4 seasons. I don't think with protection, Mitch is a good quarterback, but I can tell you what, without protection, he's awful. That's just how playing quarterback in the NFL works.
You know how I feel about Mitch.
I mean, listen, even if we land somewhere in the middle, right? Pittsburgh's going to protect him. Even if with protection, he ends up losing his job to Pickett because he's just an average QB, and Pickett is that much better. They're going to protect him. They're going to put people in front of him where, no, you're not going to be on your back. If you miss that pass, that's because you missed that pass.
Hey, I hope he actually listens to this show. Hey, Biscuits. I don't know if is that an offensive name?
Probably. I mean, you make
okay. Hey, Mitch. Money making Mitch, Maserati Mitch. Hey,
Is
listen.
that an offensive name? You're making fun of his last name, probably.
Listen, hey, money making Mitch, baby. I had your back this whole time. You better beat this Pickett kid. Don't have me out here looking stupid. You got me out here looking stupid. I will burn the imaginary Trubisky jersey I have. Don't
Hey,
do it.
hey, if he looks good in 2 preseason games, kids buying a jersey for sure.
On
Hey,
God.
man.
Oh God, I'm
Hey.
gonna put it somewhere. I'm never gonna wear it because
Hey.
I already got the Justin Fields jersey. I ain't gonna never wear the Trubisky jersey. But I mean, hey, I want him to know I got his back.
Yeah, I'm with you, dog. Well, not really, but
Hey,
I
dog,
don't. Here's
I'm
the
gonna
thing.
be honest
I
with
don't
you.
want
I
him.
don't like Nagy so much.
I don't
Y'all
want
don't
him to
understand.
fail. I don't want him to fail. Right. It's like that. I don't want him to fail, but I also don't want Matt to be right. Like
Matt wasn't right.
that's kind of what it is for me. I don't want Matt to be like, no, you should have never drafted this kid. He shouldn't be playing. And so he treated him like dirt because of that. It's like,
When you
don't
realize
let
that
him be
Matt
right.
Nagy literally put Justin out there to die 2 games in a row.
Bruh, to die. To die. And here's the thing. I also think that's the organization. I don't believe McCaskey talking about, why would I ever say that? I would never, because you own the football team, dum-dum.
That
And
man,
guess what? You say jump, people say how high. Whether you're dumb or not, you say jump, people say how high.
who was that
So
player that had the most honest player exit interview I've ever heard from a Bears camp? He
Nick
went up
Foles.
there and just let it ride.
Nick Foles.
No, it wasn't Nick Foles. It was the other guy.
Who?
He was like, "We didn't chip anybody. We didn't do this. We didn't do that." Like he was just letting it ride. Like he knew he wasn't gonna be in a Bears jersey anymore. He let it
I don't
fly.
know.
And we talked about it all of a day because I forgot his name, man. He wasn't like a big name on the roster, but like he was brutally honest. And I promise you, like once I saw that, I was like, it can't be these people that we got coming through. I felt bad about my take on Allen Robinson because then at that point, it wasn't Andy. Now
It was
listen,
Allen Robinson. What?
it wasn't Allen
Wasn't it Allen
Robinson.
Robinson that
Was it
said that on
Bennett?
the way? Who was it?
Somebody in the chat's gonna say it's gonna ring a bell. The guard that
Well,
left.
Martellus Bennett is a whole different one. That's a different time. Hey, no, Martellus Bennett said the Bears would never win.
It was a guard. It was a guard. What's that man's name? Hey, listen, I found a clip. I put in the Discord. Join the Discord. We keep that conversation going. But
Join the Discord,
once you
but you
have
got
3 or
the link
4 players
in the
come
chat.
out and they talk about it like that,
Yeah.
man, please. I instantly knew. I was like, Mitch ain't have a chance. Justin ain't got a chance. Like nobody has a chance until we get.
Oh, was it
And
James
also,
Daniels? Or you talk about James Daniels?
you know what?
It might be James Daniels. I do think I remember that. It might have been James Daniels.
Because it was a reason why the players were riding for each other and not the coaches.
Yeah, no, I think you talk about last season. I think it was James Daniels because it was like we were surprised, like James Daniels talks. Never heard this man talk. Hey man, we appreciate y'all tuning in and rocking with us. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Wanted to hit on this real quick before we get up out of, or before we switch gears here. We also got to talk a little bit more about where we think the Bears are going to be, and we'll touch on the Olin Cruz situation a little bit, man. Anyway,
Hey, dog, it ain't really much to talk
hey,
about.
hey,
To be honest with you,
hey, that's why I said real quick. But something
grown man got put in the locker. What you want me to do? Grown man got put in the locker.
Oh, that was an episode of Danny Phantom I was watching right there. But no, I thought that this was interesting, right? Because today we saw the Bears dismiss their director of college scouting, Mark Sadowski, who has been with the team since 2005 and was promoted to director of college scouting in 2016. And I was excited about this move as a Bears fan. And I know Buzz are like, why were you excited about somebody getting fired? Because you could tell in the building that the Bears had a clear direction. But we've seen the Bears have a direction before, but when somebody speaks up about the difference in direction, it's just kind of like, well, he's got his opinion. That's okay. For franchises to work, you need to be in lockstep. Not to say you don't need to have detractors or people that are, I don't, detractors is the wrong word, people that have differing opinions.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have multiple scouts in your building, when you have multiple people in your building looking at a player and saying, hey, this is the guy, and the guy that's at the head of all that says, no, he's not, and doesn't want to move off that point, that's probably not the guy you want to go with.
Mm.
He came under fire for making comments about Jaquan Brisker, who the Bears took 48. And it was just a good feeling to see, and not that he got fired, but that that the Bears believed in what they were doing more than the person that was at the head of it. It's the first time I've ever seen that for the Bears. Because, think about Matt Nagy, think about Ryan Pace, think about, Ryan Pace believed Mitch Trubisky so much, he didn't talk to his head coach about the other guy, who happened to be Deshaun Watson,
Mm-hmm.
who John Fox is on record saying, no, we would have went and got him. I wanted to go get him. He would have been my quarterback of the future. It's the first time I've seen somebody in a Bears situation have the gonads to be like, yeah, I don't think he fits with this environment. Right after the draft. Hey, dog, he definitely got fired at the end of the shift.
Thank you for your service. We won't be needing you for next season.
Next season, this season, you got to start scouting again.
But you know what the funny thing is? This goes to show you that he gave him a fair shot. He gave him an opportunity to work. If he lasted throughout the draft, then I'm assuming, this is all speculative for me, that he had the opportunity to evaluate him, see how he works, see how that process, and say, hey, no, this is not my guy. So at least he gave him a fair shot. And you can't do anything but ask for a fair shot.
Now,
but it's probably good that we go in a different direction anyway. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, I've been high on Trubisky, but it's Deshaun Watson. I don't know how many scouts sit there and say, hey, listen, Ryan, I know that you like the kid. This guy right here definitively has to be the QB. I don't know how you let that happen.
Yeah. Well, you don't talk to him. When you don't tell them what you're going to do in the draft, you know what I'm saying? Like, you think about how long the draft process was for this, and Poles and Eberflus were behind the 8 ball because they got hired later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Here's the comment that the national scout Chris Prescott said on Jaquan Brisker. He said he's what we would call he said he's what would we call it? A PhD. Poor, hungry, and desperate. Football is his life. This is this kid's life. There's a lot to like about that when you see a guy who's passionate about football.
He couldn't say passionate, hungry, and determined. He had to use poor, hungry, and desperate. You see how quickly I just came up with that? Passionate, hungry, determined.
Yeah.
Same acronym, PhD.
Yeah. So Bears move
Get
on
him up
from
out of here, bro.
But it felt like the Bears taking a stand. And here's the thing, and they picked him. And they picked him 48.
So yeah, not only are we gonna pick this guy, you best believe you're walking right after.
during the pick, Ryan just hands a pink slip over. He hands the card. He has the draft card this way and then a pink slip this way.
Sunday morning, he had to make that decision at that point because he got fired last night.
Got fired last night.
So Sunday morning, he was just like, hey, it's a wrap. That's crazy. No, I like that. I like that stance. Poor, hungry, desperate.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. Pretty wild comments. I
don't
remember
wanna make that a racial thing, but good Lord.
It's
too close for comfort.
It's the poor part, right? Like, I feel like it was like, what are you saying? Like, he was saying if this kid doesn't play football, he's going to be unsuccessful. But also, he's the best safety in the draft. Of course, he's going to make the NFL. Like hey, stupid people make stupid decisions, man. Hey, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us in this morning, man. We got a long way to go with this show. We got hour 2 where we're going to talk about where we think the Bears land in this division, but we're also going to talk about some NBA playoffs because last night, man, let me tell you right now, the Phoenix Suns look like they are right back where they started. Luka looked like he didn't have an answer for a little while in that game. But before we do that, man, we gotta tell you guys about Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Hold up. Let me get the music going. Hold up. Let me get the music queued up here. Let me get it. Oh. Hey, fellas. It's time to dig yourself out of that winter hibernation. Spring is here and it's time to get sprung with Blue Chew. That's right, this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Guys, confidence can take you a long way in life. It can help you in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? That's where Blue Chew comes in. It's a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever the opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Best part, it's all done online. No doctor's visits, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, doing the over-the-shoulder thing, trying to see if anybody sees it. And the best part, Blue Chew tablets made right here in the US of A, and they are prepared to ship direct to your door in a discreet package. So if you could benefit from a little extra confidence when it's time to perform, Blue Chew can help. Here's what I need y'all to do. Use the promo code Windy City at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com with the promo code Windy City at checkout to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And man, we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the show.
Hey, listen, don't get them gas station pills. We're trying to help you be safe right now, dog. Get that Blue Chew. Sign up, use the code. It's gonna cost you about the same. I don't know what them pills cost, but should be costing you less. Pay the shipping and go ahead and do what you do. Anyway.
Yeah, man. Make sure y'all support Blue Chew, man. It does support the show. We appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to us as always, man. Let's keep it going, bro. Cause now after the draft is here, you gotta ask the question. Where are the Bears in the division? We finished last season 4th, only above the Detroit Lions, but Detroit drafted pretty well. I can't even hate on Detroit for what they did in the draft as well. So where would you rank the Chicago Bears in the division right now, 1 through 4?
All right, making sure we recap the division, right? So we got Packers, Bears, Minnesota, and Detroit, right?
Yep.
All right, listen, I'm going to say second, only because here's why. I'm going to say
Everybody
second.
else sucks?
No, I don't think Minnesota sucks at all. I need to know what they're going to do. It's always something that goes wrong with them, either injury-wise or something wacky happens with them.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, Detroit absolutely had a good draft. They did have a good draft.
100%.
So right now, just because I have full faith in the direction we're going, and I feel like we have, compared to everyone else, our defense is retooled, got a lot of young people there, and I have faith in Justin. I think Justin can be a better QB than Kirk Cousins. I think he can be a better QB than Jared Goff. He isn't as of today. Let's get this clear. Justin Fields is not a better QB than those other two as of today. He has not shown you anything to say he's better than Jared Goff. He's better than Kirk Cousins. I'm giving him the opportunity to show me that this season. But as it stands, I just have faith in his ability. I have faith in his potential, and I have faith in the direction that Poles is going and Matty E is going with this team. I have faith in those things. I have real strong faith. That's not just me being a homer.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. However, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's first.
I mean, so I got him.
I don't even think that's close, right? Like everybody's freaking out that they didn't go get him another first round draft pick or a first round wide receiver yet again. You still went and got him a big body with good hands, and it's Aaron Rodgers putting the ball in his hand. like I'm always gonna be. And by the way, the difference between where they picked first and where they picked him second was 6 picks.
6 picks.
We're fine. Yeah, I'm saying. So for me, I don't know if I got the Bears that high. I'd still say third.
You got Minnesota over us?
I do have Minnesota over us because Minnesota has better weapons right now. Whether Kirk Cousins is good or not, and Kirk Cousins to me is not good.
He better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Hey, listen, if
definitely better than Jimmy G.
If Kirk Cousins was in a San Francisco uniform, that's a championship team.
If Kirk Cousins was in a San Francisco uniform, they were probably using the same way they used Jimmy G, but he could at least deliver the football.
He gets way more.
He could deliver the football at a minimum.
Kurt, y'all got to put some respect on Kurt's name.
Well,
he hangs in there with a lot of elite QBs, some legendary QBs. He has some good duels. It'll be like that one decision. They'd be like, "Dang, Kurt, I thought you had it." But for him to even be in the conversation as long as he is, Kurt gets a lot of hate for no apparent reason, dog. Like if Kurt was in a Bears jersey, we'd be like Kirk Cousins. We'd really like Kirk Cousins.
Kurt.
Hey, Captain Kurt.
Yeah, Captain Kirk. Yeah,
that's
you can't give him Captain Kirk though. Come on, now. That's Kirk Heinrich, baby. Can't be giving away the nicknames like that. No, I have the Bears. Here's the thing. I have the Bears. I have the Bears third right now, but you're also coming in playing a third place schedule. You're also coming in playing a lot of bad quarterbacks. And we should find out the schedule for the Bears on Thursday. So we'll give our way too early predictions on how we think the Bears finish there. But I feel like it's all going to be based on two things. It's going to be based on, hey, is Tevin Jenkins actually good? And if Tevin Jenkins is good, is Justin Fields good? If Justin Fields and Tevin Jenkins are good, this Bears team is a completely different football team. If we're talking about next season, you got to get guys that can catch the ball more consistently. That means Justin Fields was delivering the ball on people's hands. You win a lot of games that way. You got to think, there was only one weapon for Aaron Rodgers that was bringing the ball in at a high clip. Everybody else was in the 60s and 50s. So it really comes down to that. But currently as it stands, right, I mean, we don't have a top-tier quarterback. We don't have what I would believe is a number one weapon right now. Hopefully Darnell Mooney proves me wrong there. There's a lot of prove me wrong in this season as we keep going through it. There's a lot of like, hey, is this team the team that is waiting for itself to be good? Or is this the team that, hey, right off the bat, we're going to surprise everybody. Guess what? We could play football. What?
No, he caught me off guard, though.
I didn't even see it.
Rumor has it, Ola is body slamming podcast crew.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. Ola wouldn't make it out the door. But hey, don't let him know. But
I said, man, that's a tough situation to be in, dog. You definitely like, hey, you feel good going home after that, or what's going on with that? I don't
know what you say, but back to the topic at hand, because you know who won't be talking Chicago sports anytime soon? That guy.
CHGO, he's still on NBC.
Not for long. NBC is a much bigger show. They can't have the backlash. Trust me, it's going to be a vacation soon. Man, I'm on the fence about where we rank. Here's the thing. I felt last year and the year before we had talent. I felt like we had the team. I really did feel like we had the team. We didn't have the direction. We didn't have someone who put a stamp on our identity and let us know and lead in that regard. We still kept most of our running backs. Like our RB room was solid.
And you added a fullback to it. You added, I
Another
mean,
fullback.
you added pieces here, and I think the
You got
Bears.
line help.
You've got line help, but I think the Bears are going to be a very ground and pound kind of team.
Mhm.
And it's really about what that gets you, right? Like, I mean, you see the players they brought in. They have running backs. They have a fullback now. The receiver they go out and get is a guy that makes things happen in small spaces, that makes things happen close to the line, and he turns it into big plays. And then all of a sudden, he's able to take the top off, and you're able to, move down the field quickly.
Can I
But
ask you a question?
go ahead with it.
Do you believe Justin Fields with an extra second is a much more efficient quarterback than what he showed us?
Yes. That's why I said it's going to be based on Tevin Jenkins being good.
Do you think or believe that he got an extra second? I know the proof isn't there yet, but do you feel
I
like we
think
gave him an extra second?
I think Tevin Jenkins can play. I think what we saw of him last season, the ups and downs and stuff like that, was based on him not playing most of the season and trying to get used to NFL competition in the middle of a season. But I think that Tevin Jenkins can play. And I told y'all, this offense isn't going to be as bad. It's just not.
Nowhere near. Nowhere near.
There's a head coach here that knows how football works. This offense isn't going to be anywhere near as bad as it was the last 4 seasons. I would expect the Bears to even be, I don't know if I'd go too high, but I mean, we've been 28-32. At one point, Mitch Trubisky was the 34th ranked quarterback out of 32 teams. That was impressive.
Hey,
But
listen.
I think the Bears listen, you get the 20. I think the Bears could get the 20 offensively this season.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, then it depends on your defense, but I don't know how that's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think that's all on. It's gonna be a huge part on Tevin. It's gonna be a huge part on Justin. I've seen good quarterbacks with bad weapons. Like, that's why protection is so important to me.
It's a lot riding on Justin, in my opinion. Like to me, Justin has no reason to perform badly now. Them picking up Lucas Patrick right there to be able to help, like that's the second smartest, second most cerebral position on the offensive end.
Yeah.
So he got him a veteran there. He got him some O-line help. They drafted some other O-lines. I mean, they can be able to flip and flop that. I know he did that simply because I know Tevin has back issues.
Yeah,
and
you need the depth there. You definitely need the depth.
The way I look at it, just based off of things I saw you put together, the hard work you did with that, what I've heard from other individuals, just really doing my research on it, it seems like we're poised to be able to let Justin show what he can do, but we're also prepared in case it's just not there.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. And so, I'm hoping, and I get the sense that they're going to let him be him, and they've done this intentionally with him in mind. But they also were like, hey, in case this kid ain't got it, we got a good run game. We got a solid backup. Someone who can, understands our system a little bit. And we can kind of coast until we can spend this 150, because that 150, if it needs to be used for QB, I have the sense that Ryan Poles is going to use it for a QB.
It's going to be interesting to see, because, like, to me, that's a situation where, like, we talk about, like, building up the run game and stuff like that. Like, great teams don't have it. Like, Tom Brady had a great run game with him. Aaron Rodgers had a great run game with him. Jimmy Garoppolo, great run game. Mostly run game, if we're being honest. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think it's just the difference between being the quarterback that's leading the way, or is the run game leading the way for you. But this is also the thing you got to remember. Just like with Mac Jones last season, a lot of quarterbacks early in their career don't lead the way. They're good.
Yeah.
They make things happen, but they don't lead the way. The anomaly there is what we've seen kind of the last couple of years, where you get a Joe Burrow leading the way year 2 to the Super Bowl. That's not normal.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be, I think that for the Bears to get to that next step next season and moving forward, it's okay if we rely on our run game. It's okay if Luke Getsy is going with the fullback. It's okay if we're doing a lot of screen passes or we're doing a lot of just little curl routes and dinking and diving our way down the field. You know why? Because I've seen Super Bowls won with quarterbacks that did that, i.e. Tom Brady, the first 3-4 years of his career.
You know why I don't want that to be the case, though? Because we're not in that Tom Brady let you develop for 3-4 year era anymore. You could do that early 2000s. You can't do that anymore. Look, we're having a conversation now about where does Baker land? And Baker has starter numbers. Does he have attitude issues? Sure. You say whatever you want to say, right?
I think
he has starter potential.
I think we're just in an era where there's more options, more consistent options. You know what I'm saying? Like there's more. Like if all of a sudden Baker Mayfield sucks, I can go get a quarterback because they're out there.
But then we're talking about going into season 3 when you're normally talking about, hey, are we going to extend this kid? What are we going to do with this kid long term? And then we're talking about we're going to be having that conversation around the same time where we have all this cap space.
Yeah.
Let's take our emotions out of it. If you're running the Bears organization and you're unsure about the kid and you have all this money, you want to be competitive. Your job depends on you being competitive, and you have to shore up the number 1 spot on the roster. At what point do you pull the plug and say, you know what? I gotta go somewhere. I gotta get somebody.
I wouldn't. I would build up. I would do it exactly the way he's doing it. Because I don't care what quarterback you bring in here. If he's laying on his back, he's not going to be good. There's very few. Deshaun Watson's the one. We watched Pat Mahomes be in a playoff game that gets him to the Super Bowl because his offensive line had him running for his life behind the backfield. You know, when it comes down to it, you can get to a certain point with a good quarterback, but you're never going to get to the promised land if you can't keep that quarterback upright. And I think that's the mark that the Bears have missed for years. I mean, I think I'm one of the people that I've always been like, Jay Cutler's not that bad. He got sacked 10 times.
Oh, no, I've been on that train with you. Jay Cutler was
ever since I was a kid, everybody was like, man, that's just a kid. That's just a quarterback you watched as a kid. No, I watched him lay on his back forever. He never came back in that playoff game. He wasn't tough.
No,
he got hit 10 times in a game, and he kept coming back. You can't tell me he's not tough.
No, Chicago, we absolutely failed Jay Cutler. I don't care what nobody says. Jay Cutler, even with him getting hit as many times, was still head and shoulders above anybody else that's walked through this door. Justin Fields right now included.
Yeah, he's definitely the best quarterback we've ever had.
He's the best QB we've ever had. Yeah. And that's saying a lot considering that he's not the best QB to have ever touched the football.
No, he wasn't. And he wasn't the best leader. I agree with that. Not. He wasn't the best leader, but he's definitely the best talent-wise quarterback we've ever had. But I mean, hey, it's going to be interesting to see kind of what the Bears do. We want to switch gears here, but just looking at, you know, this season coming up, I'd probably rank the Bears 3rd just based on what they have currently. And I think coming out of it, we're talking about, I mean, listen, it's a 3rd place schedule. It could absolutely be 2018. Yeah. Like it's not outside the realm of possibility for me for it to be 2018. But as I've said many a time, say like Wayne said, prepare for the worst, but keep praying for the best. We're praying for the best. Yeah, you know I mean,
I just want to ask this question, and then we move on to this topic. You don't have to linger on it long, but we saw this a lot in the chat. We see it a lot when people break down, you know, teams that are rebuilding. How long is too long? What is patience to you? Like, what is patience to put a real number to it? What is patience for Pat the designer?
If you're not going to give a team or a GM 5 years to build a program, you're not doing them justice. There's a reason Cleveland was awful for so long. Every 2 years they were switching GMs. It's just not possible. You have to think you're not getting your guys to a point. Like, what's development in the NFL? Year 3, right?
Yeah.
That means when a guy gets his first draft class, they should be able to play by year 3. If you're not, by the time you get to year 3, that's your first draft class of players. Say I got 2 players that are really good out of that draft class. All right. That means the next year, I've had my second draft class now get to year 3. I should have at a minimum 2 to 3 more players that are good. That means the third draft class, I should have at a minimum 2 to 3 more players that get good. In that situation, you're at year 5. If we're into year 5 of a program and we're looking and we're like, these guys suck, then you got to.
What is, so you're saying 3 to 5 years is development for players that you draft?
No, I think by year 3 you should know what a player is.
Oh, so you're saying, but for a GM,
but I'm saying for a GM, right? You're talking about 5 years, because in 5 years you've had 3 draft classes that all should be at year 3, and you should know at that point, hey, is this guy drafting good talent, or are we talking about a bunch of guys that are misses? That was my problem with Pace. Pace was here 8 years, and we were looking at the draft, and we didn't have a good pick that we felt at the top of the draft, and we kept being there until year 5 when we got Roquan. That was the first pick that I was like, hey, that looks like he might actually be able to play football. So you can't, like, I hate how when teams, like how the Texans did it. Oh, we're gonna bring in a guy for a year and then fire him.
Yeah, that's stupid.
It's just not. There's no way it's possible, right? Because you got to think, you get those players in there, and on top of that, the coach has to teach them how to play. On top of that, the coach has to put his system in their minds. On top of that, you're talking about if you're in Andy Reid's system, it takes 3 years for you to figure out what the heck the system is. Andy and Matt have said that. I mean, it does. Listen, Alex Smith is one of the smartest quarterbacks to play in the NFL. Even Alex Smith was like, no, it took me 3 years to figure this out.
Yeah, but Alex Smith had some good numbers before he got to year 3.
Well, it's you still have to produce, right? But it's about understanding the whole system. Not to say this dude doesn't understand any of the playbook, but where you're to the point where you understand all the nuances of the system. And that's really just about the situation you go to. Here with the Bears this season, Luke Getsy said, we're making it easy. Justin even came out and said, yeah, the playbook is like from here to here. Yeah, I mean, like it's about making it simple and feeding to the player what they can handle at that point. By the time you get to the point where the playbook's here, you should be in year 3.
So if you're Ryan Poles, how long are you tied to Justin? Because it literally does go in that order. Your GM, your head coach, your quarterback. If one of those people suck, you're going to hear about it to every day, right?
For me,
so now, how long does he stick with Justin?
I'm tied to Justin, right? Because Justin just got a new head coach, so essentially he's a rookie quarterback again. Like, the only thing Justin figured out last year was like, hey, big people come hit me. So to me, I mean, honestly, right? Like, hey, hey, Justin, what'd you learn last season? Myles Garrett is scary. You know what I mean? Like, but Justin's essentially coming in, learning a completely new playbook. It, granted, much smaller. He's one of the smartest players that came out of that draft based on the Wonderlic test or something they do in the draft. I don't remember what that was, but he's one of the smartest cerebral players that comes out of the draft. He should be able to figure out his playbook this year. But to me, you get to the point with Justin Fields where you say, okay, yes, we're at the end of your deal. I feel like if you feel like you've seen incremental increases in Justin as a football player, you say, all right, we're going to franchise tag you this season. Prove to me that one franchise tag, that's the only one I'm going to give him. Prove to me that you're our long-term quarterback this year. Because I understand that at a minimum, and yes, it's going to be a lot of money that year, but I understand that at a minimum, coming into this season, your rookie year was a wash. You were in, you were out. Andy Dalton was the starter. Nick Foles was in a game. You got hurt. You come back. Like, I understand your rookie year that it essentially didn't happen. That's how you have to deal with it. So to me, I would get to the point where if you feel like Justin can be that guy, you would franchise him. You would franchise tag him. And I think if you had confidence with Mitch, you'd have done the same thing there. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get like almost messed up there. You don't want to get like the what's their new name? God dang it.
Commanders.
The Commanders. It's so stupid. You don't want to get like it's so dumb. I don't want to remember it. You don't want to get like the Commanders and where they were franchise tagging Kirk Cousins multiple years. Kirk made like, what he made? He made like $45 million in like 2.5 seasons because they just kept franchise tagging him. So for me, like, if you didn't believe in Kirk after the first franchise tag, get rid of him. I feel the same way about Justin. If you don't feel 100% sure about Justin after the first franchise tag, it's probably time to move on. Also, you have to take into that caveat, though, like, hey, what's our next option? What's a better option? So it's a lot of things to play into it, but if I'm Poles, you got to be tied to him that long because you got to know what he is.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Unless somebody come through and they like, yeah, Deshaun ain't working in Cleveland. Go ahead, we trying to trade him. Then it's
I
a
honestly
different
feel like it depends on who's available next season. When you have that much money, you have the opportunity to potentially go get a big name. Depends on what he does this season for me, because the one thing that Poles has against him is it's still Chicago, and we're very much in win now mode.
But
Even though
the difference is us don't matter. Right? The McCaskies told you us don't matter.
Oh yeah, they told us that long time.
They kept Ryan Pace 7 or 8 years. Hey, they told us don't. He wanted to keep him this season. Us don't matter. Chicago don't matter. How quickly we want to win, how quickly we want to be tied to something, it don't matter to him. Ryan Poles is going to be here probably at a minimum, even if he's god awful, 7 seasons.
I don't think it's gonna be a 7 seasons. I don't.
Very loyal in that mug because it's a family thing. It's not a business. They see him every day. Like, I got people that work up there. You see George every day.
To be honest with you, the spark plug of that family is like 99, 100 right now.
Hey, look,
she makes it to 107, then that's a deal. Whatever she's taking, I need in. How about that? How about that? You know, no disrespect. I wish her nothing but long, but she's already lived a longer life than anybody. You realize that? She's 99 years old.
Well,
she's been through all of the depressions in American history.
I'll ask you the same question, dog. Like, how long do you feel like Ryan Poles is tied to Justin Fields?
2 years. 2 years at most. The league has changed. I know that we like to romanticize what football was and what it has been up until this point, but that's the key phrase. Till this point, we're no longer in that space. No longer in that space. Top to bottom, we're no longer in space. You want to know why Pete Carroll's not going to succeed in Seattle? Because he's trying to run it like he did 8 years ago, and he's not going to get it.
He's already succeeded.
I mean, he's Pete Carroll before he got to Seattle was a wash. You said you were the first one to call that out. Pete Carroll wasn't a good coach before he got to Seattle. Like, we make it seem like he was running stuff. No, Pete Carroll was on his way out. He got to Seattle, Legion of Boom, all that stuff, and then Russ comes along. Hey, you know, how you finish is way better than how you ended. How you started.
That's what it's all about. I mean, Bill Belichick was an awful head coach.
Awful. Across sports like that.
Bill Belichick was an awful head coach. Yeah, I mean, like
in basketball, Greg Popovich was almost on his way out. Then all of a sudden, he clips off a 20-year run and 5 championships. I mean, hey, it happens. But let's be real.
Yeah,
we have to realize that the league is changing. Talent is coming in better prepared. Why? They have access to different stuff. We got kids right now. There's a training facility 10 minutes from me where kids in freshman year of high school are doing pro drills right now. These kids are coming in ready.
Yeah.
They're coming in knowing what to do. So, like, no,
I think the difference in the situation is, though, right? Say you do go get another quarterback. I think you're tied to Fields longer, whether he's good or not. I think we all think he's going to be pretty good, but whether he's good or not, you're tied to Fields longer because setting up everything around Fields, even if he's not the answer, sets up your next quarterback. So right now, Fields is in year 2. you would essentially be tied to him. What is it, 2022? You'd be tied to him until 2025 in my scenario. You franchise tag him going into 2026. At that point, you should have an offensive line built up that's going to last you for another 7 years. You should have receivers in the building that can play football. You should have a tight end, hopefully, that's developing if things go well. And you've just gotten your young talent at defense this season. And you're going to pay Roquan Smith next season.
Hey, dog. Justin Fields right now, should these picks work out the way that poll says they are, has more talent than a lot of QBs.
I think it's
a lot of more potential talent than a lot of QBs now. He's going to be graded harshly from people outside the city for that reason alone. You can't, how many QBs in this league have had an owner totally buy into them the way that Poles is kind of, I mean, not owner, organizations totally buy into him the way that they have. That was our biggest issue. And Poles has done everything to say, hey, this is our guy. This is how we're running and stuff like that. He has the support now. And so I'm just being real about that. Justin has this is going to be on him and his development.
Oh, yeah.
How well he clicks. And ain't nothing. He don't need no other targets. He don't need nothing. He has targets now.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is,
let's
this
hope.
is how Chicago's gonna grade it. He's gonna make a good pass, and let's say somebody drops it. We ain't gonna say, "Oh, Justin ain't get it to him." We're gonna say, "Man, get that receiver up out of here." Like we're gonna be sitting there killing everybody else. But if he overthrows that receiver, it's like, God damn, that's like a 5-yard stretch.
Oh yeah.
Like we're gonna be in that mode. We don't have to win. We simply just have. It just simply has to look better than it has. And if it doesn't,
I think the bigger thing with the Bears is going to be can we differentiate good this season versus what's actually good? That's going to be the biggest problem with Chicago and with the Bears, right? I've told y'all, the Bears averaged 17-something points last season. Awful. I guarantee you the Chicago Bears will average 24 points at a minimum this season. That is 3 touchdowns. If we are talking about the Bears scoring 3 touchdowns a game, can we differentiate that from, hey, yes, the Bears did score 3 touchdowns, but also that's still 18th in the NFL. Try to look at things completely different coming into this season. Try to look at things completely different when we're talking about this Bears team because, as I've said, Matt Nagy is god-awful bad. Matt Nagy is god-awful bad. And if Matt Nagy was that bad, it's impossible for you to keep going through it and get worse. So we have to adjust our mindsets with what we're looking at with the Bears and say, hey, they got better. I expected that. Now, next season, can they get better? Season after that, can they get better? It's about continuing to grow. It's about continuing to get to that next level. And if the Bears are able to do that, guess what? Now we're talking about this team completely different. Now we're talking about this team not in the light of, hey, they can't figure out the quarterback position. Now we're talking about, right, if you build everything around the quarterback position, now you're not talking about this team as, hey, they can't figure out the quarterback position. You're talking about this team as this is a really good team that's a quarterback away. When have we realistically been a quarterback away? I can't remember when the Bears were a quarterback away. I don't think they've ever realistically been a quarterback away. They've been an offensive line away. You had a quarterback in Jay Cutler. Were we a quarterback away then? Whether you believe that he was great or not, right? Mediocre can win. I've seen mediocre win when it's protected.
We don't want mediocre.
It's not about being mediocre. But what I'm saying is if you build everything around Justin, no matter who comes in next, say you do build everything around Justin, all of a sudden we got the money now to go pay for a real quarterback. Real quarterback comes in. Heck, you build everything around Justin. You know who looks good? Kirk Cousins. You just said it. Hey, what was San Francisco is legitimately a quarterback away. San Francisco has a good offensive line. They have a top 5 offensive line. They have a top 10 running game. They have weapons at receiver, even though they're about to lose one in Debo. They have an amazing defense. They have a great tight end. They don't have a quarterback that can get them the ball consistently. You put Kirk Cousins on that team, and that changes things. The focus for Chicago Bears fans has always been, we're a quarterback away. We've got to get our quarterback. You've got to get the quarterback. And not to say Justin Fields isn't going to be that guy, but if Justin Fields isn't that guy and you've got to go to the next guy, I don't want to be looking at this team and saying, not only do we need a quarterback, we need an offensive line, we need 2 wide receivers, we need a running back, we're going to need some people on defense as well. That's what we're coming into this season with. That's the biggest gripe against Ryan Pace. You left nothing. The cupboard is bare. You got Jalen Johnson, and I got Thomas Graham Jr. over here, who played 4 games last season. And he's coming into year 2, probably as your starter on the depth chart.
The pressure is just a lot. The pressure is on, whether we like to acknowledge it or not.
Pressure's on for sure.
And so,
but it's about, it's like you said, right? How long is it going to take? And even in today's day and age, I think you can't have, like, there's certain places where you can have that mindset, but the teams that are quick to get rid of everybody and restart in the NFL never work. The Jaguars this season are still going to struggle. Why? Even though they put money behind it, even though they got a better head coach, because he's got to learn. Trevor's got to learn.
They're not going to struggle this year like you think, dog.
He's still got to learn the system.
He got to learn the system.
Everybody down there's got to learn the system. You know why? Because his rookie year, he went through the same thing as Justin. His rookie year, he came in with a head coach that taught him all this stuff that literally none of it matters anymore.
That's a fact. I give you that.
So you got to, he has better weapons. I think with better weapons and better protection, talent will reign out on both sides, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. But you still got to know where the heck the receiver is going to be to get him the ball. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that go into it besides, and that's why I feel like building up a program, a system, it takes time, but those are the teams that are successful. Andy Reid didn't win year 2, 3, and 4 in Arrowhead out in Kansas City. But everything else was in place for Alex Smith. And then when you slid Pat Mahomes in there, the fact that he was a generational talent that also had protection, that also had weapons, that also had the honey badger, that was really the whole defense.
I would say this. He didn't win because he had Alex Smith. He won because he put Patrick Mahomes in. They were a quarterback away, in my opinion,
But they were in the AFC Championship the year before.
They were a quarterback away
from being a Super Bowl team.
From being a Super Bowl team.
100%. But the system was there. The pieces were already in place. You literally said, Alex, we appreciate you. You're not that good, though. Yeah. Pat Mahomes.
Speaking of people who are like one piece away, or were one piece away, we're going to shift gears a little bit. Switching to some NBA as we get into the last leg of this particular show, 1240. Phoenix Suns were one piece away. They go into a bubble. They go from not being in the playoffs to making, winning 8 games straight in the bubble to getting Chris Paul. Now all of a sudden they're rocking and rolling. Get knocked out in the finals last season. Back rolling again. Do you think this is the year for Phoenix?
You know what? It's interesting As we switch gears, by the way, appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, man. That was a hard switch too.
Well, I have to do it eventually. So I mean, it's only 20 minutes left. We got 2 other topics.
I'm with you. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Make sure that y'all
Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports weekly. I'll be forgetting I got the girl at the end, like I didn't make the clip. But no, man. Like you said, is Phoenix the favorite again? Yes. It looked like Phoenix, right? As they lost Devin Booker, were vulnerable. But the second they got him back, they were no longer vulnerable. The second they got him back, there was too many weapons for New Orleans to handle. And I'll tell you what I watched last night. It looked like, yes, Jalen Brunson is a good player. Jalen Brunson is a really good player. Jalen Brunson can be a great player, but he ain't ready for this moment.
I think he just had a bad game. I wouldn't say he's not ready.
It could be, but I feel like, man, when you saw Bridges switch on to him, it was one of the moments where it was like, ooh, yeah, you didn't face a defender like that in the last series. That's how it felt to me, right? Like you saw Bridges make the switch. It was just like, man, he's really not going nowhere.
I think
he's really not getting them looks. And I think if you don't have that second option, it's going to be tough.
Well, I think the problem is Luka because Spencer Dinwiddie can roll, Jalen Brunson can roll, but the offense runs and is operated so differently with Luka on the floor.
Yeah.
Now he's going to give you 40 points, 10 assists, and stuff like that, right? But he reminds me a lot of James Harden in 2016.
Yes.
And that's not winning basketball.
Yes, I agree with you. It's very Luka predicated. Now, granted, right? I feel like the game kind of shifted as well. Like it became Luka predicated when nobody could hit a shot. But I agree with you that it's very like when Luka's on the court, hey, we have to get the ball to Luka. We have to keep rolling with Luka. We have to get him going. And Luka getting going doesn't always mean you're going to win. He had 45 last night. You lost. And to be honest with you, you were never really in that game.
They had moments. Hey, listen.
A run to me doesn't mean you're in the game.
Brunson having a bad shooting night
changed everything.
Is the only reason why they weren't in that game. And the fact that they have no real true post presence. Which is why I say Phoenix is going to, like, if the Bucks make it to the finals, it's going to be the same outcome. Because you're not going to be able to do to the Bucks what Phoenix is doing to the Mavs. Not only do they have DeAndre Ayton,
Phoenix, the only, 100%.
Brook Lopez, they're going to clog that paint. Yeah. Giannis doesn't even have to stick DeAndre Ayton.
He's not.
Giannis he doesn't even have to stick.
Yeah, he probably will. He probably will just because it's the easiest for him to move with.
So now guess who I got sticking Devin Booker if I wanted to? The 7'1" guy who could sit there and truck everybody and like all that fade away and stuff like that looks good. That looks real good. But no, buddy, give me that. Like
chase downs out the chase downs left and right in this mug. No, you know what? I agree with you. I feel like there's if we're talking for me, right? Phoenix being the favorite in the finals is all based on how they can defend, to me. You can't stop Giannis. You can slow down Jrue Holiday. Chris Middleton will be back. I don't know how healthy he will be at that point, but he's probably going to play, at a minimum. Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis can be slowed down. Brook Lopez can be slowed down. Phoenix has the bodies that can do that. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference maker on that side. I think that would still go.
Phoenix can't do it.
Well, the difference for me, I'm going to be real with you, dog. Like
Boston State better defense. They have better offense.
Boston does have better defense and better offense, but at the same time, right, like
Boston's the better team.
Boston was doing that a lot on the East versus on the West, Phoenix is doing that every night. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not to say Boston wasn't beating the teams in the West as well, but it's more times where I'm beating those teams that I feel like I honestly, to me, the biggest threat right now to everyone is the Golden State Warriors.
I was gonna say Miami.
I don't think so. I don't think Miami. I don't think Miami can stop Milwaukee. I don't think Miami, like PJ Tucker in a game versus Giannis, can stop Giannis.
No, he can't. No,
In a game, we've seen him do it. In a game, one game. You're not doing that 7. Well, we've seen him do it this season. That's what I'm saying. We've seen him hold Giannis to a, what was it, 15-point, like 5 for whatever it was night. But 7 games, like PJ's got to guard him all 7. PJ has no choice but to guard him all 7. There's nobody else that can stand in front of him. You put Bam Adebayo in front of him, that's not going to be good.
The reason why PJ can't stick with him is, one, PJ is only going to be able to stick with him if he's allowed to play overly physical, and he's going to get in foul trouble quick. Once PJ's in foul trouble,
nobody's allowed to play overly physical on Giannis, which is wild.
Once that's over, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
What we're also discrediting is the fact that, and I hate to say it, Grayson Allen is absolutely emerging in these playoff series. I don't know what happened to the kid. I guess he just took on this whole villain moniker and ran with it. Shout out to him, I guess, if that's what he wants to be known for. But he's playing good ball.
Yeah.
From their starting lineup to their bench, the Bucks
good bench piece for him there. What do you have? A couple steals? Yeah.
He playing good.
Yeah,
he playing a lot better than I wanted to admit. I looked at the numbers. I was like, I don't know who this kid is now, but he got his VCs up for real. So all I'm saying is, but I put it to you this way: the biggest threat to them outside of Miami was Philly. I thought, because Philly, Embiid always has had really good success against other bigs. He gets to the foul line more than anybody in the league. In fact, he leads the league nearly 10 free throws a game. So that slows your game down and stuff like that. With Embiid being where he is now, they're not passing Miami, and Miami's a little too small for the Bucks. So I can see the Bucks winning that. But I say that they have the best shot because they have better shooters. Miami has the best shooters out of most of the teams that are available now outside of Golden State.
Better than Boston?
Yeah, they have better shooters than Boston. In my opinion.
I don't know. Peyton
Pritchard. I think Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson are better shooters than pure shooters.
Duncan ain't even getting it though,
which is crazy.
Duncan ain't. I mean, it ain't crazy because that man be getting cooked. But Duncan ain't even getting. Did he? Duncan got 0 minutes the last game.
Yeah, Tyler Hero went off.
Yeah,
Oladipo is going off. Like from top to bottom, Miami is just a well-built team. They're just a piece in the middle, away. But I'll be honest with you, like the way that they play, the way that they rotate the ball, the way if you just watch the basketball instead of just being in the comments making stupid comments like, "Oh, this guy on the right is tripping." Like if you do stuff like that, if you really watch the game, really well put together team.
I don't think it's that they're not a well put together team, but I would feel it would be hard pressed for me to say they've got better shooters than Boston. And here's the difference, right? We keep saying it's about the shooters, it's about the shooters, it's about the shooters. I think honestly, they're trying to guard the Bucks, and the Bucks have such a rugged, beat you up kind of game that it's causing teams to shoot poorly. There was no reason why Boston should shoot poorly. Boston looked like the Bulls.
Yeah,
Boston the entire game looked like the Bulls. It was the first time. Like I thought, like, man, the Bulls just can't shoot. I don't understand it. They can't hit shots. No, Boston's game is so beat you up rugged that, Milwaukee's game is so beat you up rugged that to me, it's causing teams to just be exhausted on the offensive end, and they're just not able to shoot as well. I'm gonna be honest with you. Tyler Hero can't guard nobody on Boston or on Milwaukee. If Milwaukee gets to the Eastern Conference, like who's Tyler Hero guard? He got to be out there. Who you gonna put him on? Drew, Chris, Wes Matthews, maybe.
You ain't got no choice.
You know what I'm saying? Like he got to
Honestly.
guard somebody. So I just feel like I do think it's gonna be Boston, Milwaukee, Miami for the Eastern Conference Finals. But I think the biggest threat to Milwaukee comes in the West. I think it's Golden State. Just because Golden State's been there, Golden State doesn't have a problem playing a more physical kind of game. I know we look at them and we're like, that's not that kind of team style of play. But them might as well get down there with you and definitely get dirty with you if that game calls for it. And I think we're going to see that the rest of this Memphis series because Memphis already made the decision like, yeah, we're going to have to beat some people up in this mug because that's the one way we're going to get through this.
The emergence of the big man has happened, and right now, the Bucks have shooters. The Bucks have good point guard play. The Bucks have solid play at every position on the floor. When you look at any other team, you have liabilities at one or two of those positions. Can that person defend? Sure. Can Marcus Smart defend? Sure. Is he going to beat me if I'll let Marcus Smart shoot?
Yeah, if Marcus Smart go off for 20 plus, you probably lost that game.
I'm living with that.
That's kind of the caveat to what that game's gonna be.
How'd
you lose? Marcus Smart went off for 20.
Can I stop Tatum? Can I stop Brown? If I can hold Tatum to 20 or less, and I can hold Brown's been very inconsistent up and down in this playoff run. I'm good. Am I going to make Tatum work on the other end? Because he has to stick Giannis at times. That man's cooked. Robin Williams can't stick Giannis. Bobby Porter, who's like realistically, that it's when you said that the Celtics look like the Bulls, you saw a team that was physically overmatched.
They look like first off, it was a dumb game plan anyway to try and beat it up defense versus Giannis. I was watching that. I was like, are they trying to bully Giannis?
You can't bully Giannis.
You can't bully the bully. What's Zebo say? In my hood, bullies get bullied. Like that's what it looked like right
What's
there.
What's funny is he don't even be trying to bully. That's just him.
He's just moving. He's just what now they be missing a lot of offensive foul calls. I ain't gonna lie to you. Giannis be bowling people over.
Depending on how they call it, yeah.
But it's one of those, right, where like I look at that team and how do you make them tired? What was the one game where they look outmatched? That's why I feel like Golden State's the biggest threat, because the one game where they looked outmatched was the game where you couldn't pack the paint. And Golden State is very content if you don't let them pack the paint. Oh, you want to stay down there? You gonna leave me? Who you like? Literally on the last play, me and my brother were talking about it. On the last play where Klay hits the big shot, he was like, "I would go to Jordan Poole." I was like, "Who cares who they go to? Do you know who's on the floor right now? I would go to Jordan Poole, or I could go to Klay Thompson, or I could go to Steph Curry, or I could go to Andrew Wiggins, or I could go to Draymond. Wasn't even on the court. You could have went to Draymond Green, or I can go to Gary Harris, who just knocked down, or not Gary Harris, Gary Payton Jr., who just knocked down 4 3-pointers a game before that. Golden State is very content with you playing pack the paint basketball. They gonna look at you and be like, y'all for
you okay. Realize you do know I shoot, right?
Oh, okay. So I feel like that's gonna be Milwaukee's biggest struggle. The difference to me, right? I think Devin Booker is gonna have a lot of the same struggles that versus Milwaukee that Zach LaVine did. The middle's not there. Devin Booker this season has operated a lot in the paint and in the middle. Yes, he does have the tray ball. He can knock it down at a high clip. But where's he done most of his work? Let me get down here, get this post move going, little jab, turn around, fade, Kobe fade, cash.
Man, I hate to say it, but Devin Booker is a much better player than Zach is. He's absolutely created the separation this year, and I really hate to say it. I know Zach was injured and stuff like that, but when you look at Devin play, I mean, sometimes he be doing them heat checks like he shouldn't be doing them heat checks. But outside of that, man, that man's game is fluid.
Oh, yeah.
He gets to a spot, the elevation. It's hard to stop. Yeah, it's really hard to stop his game.
He's got a great game. Hey, I like Steve O'Connor. Can he shoot? Golden State. Yes, I can shoot.
It's But that makes speaking of Golden State, they play tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna
Ja
say,
play
is this a
tonight.
must win for Memphis in this one?
Is it a must win? I think if you're gonna gritty in the first quarter, which I'm everyone's up in arms about that. I don't care if he does it or not. Back it up. Back it up. And for me, Ja has been like the stats would sit there and say, yeah, he dominated these games. But you watch those games, it's like my man was being the bus rider for a minute, and then all of a sudden he's trying to barrel into the lane with these fluky some of this, it's not good basketball, bro. He's trying to barrel into the lane like he's Giannis, and it's worked most of the season. But you ain't gonna
I
keep
think
getting them fouls. He ain't
I
gonna get the
think
same foul calls in the finals if he make it. He
no,
just not.
you're not.
He ain't gonna be at the free throw line 10 times in the finals. They're not gonna give him that.
You're not. But I think the difference with Booker is right, or with Ja, is that when you look at his game, he can switch his game completely. And he did that the last series. Ja Morant is a dude that can put up 35, 45, whatever you need him to put up. And in the last game, you felt like you needed him to put that up. I don't like that last play. I thought that was a horrible play call, but I get it. Like Ja wasn't passing the ball no way.
That was an easy dump off too if he did it.
Nah, it wasn't because what's his name? Because Gary
Was Wiggins coming up?
Gary Payton Jr. dropped off to pass him off to Clay so he could play the passing lane, and Wiggins was coming over. So I was like, you didn't have a second option on that play. The play was Ja, shoot it, which is fine. Like, listen, he's the number one on the team. That's how most of his teams with number ones go. That's how it was with Kobe. That's how it was with Jordan. Like, there's the couple plays where the shot wasn't Jordan are the ones where literally it was like, yeah, they slowing me down a little bit right here. I'm gonna pass it to Steve Kerr for a game winner. Or I'm gonna pass it to John Paxson for a game winner, right? Like, we don't talk about that too often in Jordan career.
Yeah.
The two we talk about are those two. Like, so I feel like there wasn't another option there, which is fine. But like with Ja, the biggest thing is to me is that he can switch his game. But is everybody else going to step up when he makes that switch? We've seen Ja kind of go into, like in the last game to me, he was being very passive. He was doing a lot of assisting, letting Jaren cook, trying to get Bane going, trying to get why can't I think of the other boy name? One with the little UDs coming off his face. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But trying to get them going, and their offense just never really materialized other than Jaren. And so then you saw in the second half, he's like, well, guess it's time to start cooking. Like, he cooked in the first, second, he was trying to get them going. Third and fourth, he was like, nah, y'all ain't got it right now. So to me, like,
Brandon Clark.
I feel like it's going to be Brandon Clark. That's exactly what I was thinking of. No, not Clark.
No, it's Clark.
Nah, buddy, is that Clark is the big man?
No, it's one of those guys. They on there. I tell you what, to the drill. I say this. I got to throw this out there. We want to continue this conversation in the Discord. So if you haven't, please go to the Discord, join the conversation. We're gonna leave this question.
Dylan Brooks, that's what I'm thinking
of. With the emergence of Jordan Poole, who's absolutely carried the Warriors many of these games, do you think that his emergence changes the narrative on Steph Curry being the generational talent and leader of that team, or is the system they developed with two good shooters just what allowed them to shine?
No, I don't feel like
we never sooner or later they're gonna sit there and say, look at what he's doing. Can we really say Kevin Durant was a bus rider on that team?
I don't know. But before we get out of here, is tonight a must win for Memphis? We did all that talking just to not answer the question.
Yeah, they got to win.
They got to win. Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that. And to your question, I think it's like Steve-O said, it shows off your system. Shows the intelligence to me of Steve Kerr. You put anybody in there that can shoot remotely, and we can make it happen. It's been a bunch of different guys this season. Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Clay, randomly, Cook. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been a bunch of different guys this season. So I think that shows the intelligence of Steve Kerr. And it's kind of sad that the Bulls didn't get him. But anyway, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us. As always, man, appreciate y'all for tuning into the show and showing love. We'll be back tomorrow from 11 to 1. We'll also have content dropping throughout the day. We will also have a video dropping at 5 p.m. Get in tune with that a little bit more Bears draft breakdown. Appreciate the love as always, man.
Tomorrow's a special day, man. Y'all might want to tune in.
Make sure that you guys show up to the show tomorrow. Special guest on the show. Get in tune with us on that. There's going to be a lot of fun in this mug tomorrow, boy. I ain't saying nothing. Anyway, hey, man. For the pettiest man alive, Mr. P Kid, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.